Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rick Edelman. Thanks for joining us today for this terrific webinar we're going to be presenting for you. I call it terrific because there is so much effort among financial advisors to differentiate today. I mean, in the world of investment management, advisors are looking more and more alike all the time because we've gotten really good at managing money, haven't we, over the past couple of decades? We all know the best practices. We all know the best way to deliver value to the client in the world of investing. So how do you differentiate yourself if everybody's managing money in pretty much the same ways? Well, the key is to figure out ways to add value to your clients. And we've got a really easy way, a really powerful way for you to do that in your practice today. And to engage in this conversation with us, I'm very happy to bring on to this webinar Glenn Shimkus. He is the co-founder and CEO of Presidio. Glenn, thanks for joining us on the webinar today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. And by the way, I have to start by saying Lifetime Achievement Award in wealth management. I mean, congratulations. I saw that, and what wonderful recognition for all the work you've done in your career to
Oh,
date.
I appreciate. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that. It was very nice of Investment News to give me that award. But you know what it simply means? It simply means I'm a has-been. You know, the guy's done. He's already achieved lifetime whatever. So, I've asked them to change the award name from Lifetime Achievement to Achievement So Far in Life
There
because
you
I'm
go. I like that.
not done yet. And neither are you, Glenn. You are not just the co-founder and CEO of Presidio, but you are a serial entrepreneur. You co-founded with the CEO of Carvati, which was acquired by DocuSign. Everybody knows DocuSign. You were a key player in the development and launch and distribution to making that a global phenomenon. And you were also the head of innovation at NAR, the National Association of Realtors. So you've been in the business world for decades, and now you're just getting started all over again with Presidio.
I am. Yeah. I'm not sure what's wrong with that, but honestly, I got to tell you what I've done throughout my career. Honestly, I just feel like I'm at the right place to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now with Presidio. And quite frankly, this is more of a mission of how we can help people with such a critical area of their lives that today, unfortunately, gets overlooked until it's too late.
You know, it's one of the advantages now that we've lost our hair. We've gained some experience and a little bit of money too, and we now have a lot of time on our hands. And so, yeah, when we engage in new ventures, new activities, it isn't always directly focused on building a big business. It's really focused first and foremost on how can we really help people?
Yeah.
Where's a big problem? Where's a big need? And how can we fulfill that? And so that's what you're trying to do with Presidio.
Yeah.
It's not a household name by any means, being a brand new company. So tell folks a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so you know, through my career, I've helped companies and professionals manage their information and documents, that which is most important to them. And after selling my last company to DocuSign and being there, quite frankly, until right before they went public, I realized we as families and individuals have the same problem that I've been helping companies address. And that is we're just overwhelmed with the amount of information coming at us. It's all over the place. And so we're really focused on helping address that issue. And that is how do we help people manage their most important information, keep it safe, securely share it with others, and then eventually, when we're no longer on this planet, transition it successfully to someone else. And to me, this really is a passion of taking what I've learned throughout my career, helping companies and professionals, but now applying that to our own families and our individual lives, because companies have tools and budgets and all these different things to help them in this area. And I just felt like we were getting lost in the shuffle at home.
And that's really the key that I want to start off on today is that I mentioned at the outset that this is an opportunity for advisors to figure out a way to offer or deliver new value to their client. In our effort to give advice, all of that advice ends up involving paperwork. I mean, we
Mhm.
we open brokerage accounts. We give our clients help with banking, with insurance, with taxes, with mortgages and real estate, and of course estate planning, wills and trusts. All of that advice ends up being paperwork,
Right.
and the paperwork is a pain. If you ask any advisor, the thing advisors hate the most is the paperwork.
Yeah.
It's legalese, it's cumbersome, it's complicated, it's a nuisance, especially when you've got to fill in forms and you're trying to go grab the data that they're asking for. I mean, we've all
Yeah.
kind of memorized our social security numbers, but the security questions they throw at you and all the verification stuff. What was the first address of your first home back in 30 years ago for so we can verify your identity? All this nonsense. Advisors say it's their biggest hassle is
Mm.
that when there comes to dealing with solutions for the client, they can't find key client documents.
Yeah.
You hear the same kind of thing?
Yeah, and I would say it's not even just if you look at it from a wealth or financial advisor perspective, it's insurance advisors, it's accountants, it's everybody we deal with, right? Because documents are so critical to our identity, to our ownership, to our insurance. And the problem is everything used to be physical and discoverable, right? You get something in the mail that's your new insurance policy, your bank statement, you get your business card from your banker, but now some of it's physical, some of it's digital. How you get it often determines where you put it, right? If I get it in the mail, it may
Right.
go in the file cabinet, but if I have to go to someone's portal, maybe I don't pull it down, or if it's an email, I put it in my hard drive or maybe my cloud storage. And then when we need to find it, it's like, okay, how did I get it? Where would I have put it? And then I may not be by it, right? Because I may be on the road or at dinner. And then you start getting into the real challenge isn't just finding it. It's how do we get it to someone else? Because frequently, if I get an insurance policy, I may need to get it to my mortgage broker. And so what happens is when we share our most important sensitive information, what do? We text and email it to somebody else.
Which
And
is not
then,
secure at all.
right, which isn't secure. And then if something happens to us and we're not here, it's lost, right? So, I mean, we're in the midst of a generational shift and people aren't prepared. And I think that's a real issue, right? Especially for things like the natural disasters or an illness or death. And the real consequence is for our families. And the problem isn't going away, it's getting worse.
And part of the challenge here, and the reason for that I was so excited about putting this webinar together with you, is that financial advisors are actually part of the problem because we're the ones who are creating that paperwork and we're the ones who are sending it to clients or giving them portals or forcing them to provide us with info. And while we're trying to have a great relationship with the client, we're kind of the pain in the ass. We're the one that is just harassing the client with paperwork demands and record keeping obligations.
Yeah.
And so, wouldn't it be great if we could turn that hassle factor into a client service where
Yeah.
we're now contributing to making it easier for the client, safer, better,
Yeah.
more, faster. And that's what we're really talking about here. How to go from being part of the problem to being the solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about how Presidio does this. How do you fix it?
Well, first of all, when you look at it, what we do is we help you with four areas. One is how do you collect or identify? Two is how do you keep safe? Three is how do you securely share with others? And four is how do you eventually transition your most important information, right? And now the number one thing people often think about when I talk about this is documents. And absolutely, that is a core component. But our lives are more than just documents, right? It's what do we have of value, both financial and sentimental? It's where, oh, well overlooked is where. Where are accounts? Where are valuables? Where are original copies of documents? And then who are the key people in your life? And right, so for Presidio, we help you pull this all together, keep it safe. Make sure it's always at your fingertips, whether you're on a river cruise in Europe, you're at dinner tonight, or you're on a business trip to Seattle. We help ensure you can securely get it to others because we don't live in isolation, right? This is not a silo. It's our most important stuff. And then how frequently do you have to get it to someone who you're just meeting, like your mortgage advisor, for example? What are they going to do with it? But then it's more than that. It's about telling the story and providing context and connecting the dots. Like, this is my will. This is the person who wrote it. This is where the original is stored. And when I describe Presidio, I really say it's like a digital version of a locked safe, but instead of storing cash and jewelry, it really stores your most important private files and data in encrypted format.
So is this something that people can do easily? Is this, how much work or effort is involved in making all this happen?
Well, before I started the company, it was really interesting. I did a bunch of research, and what I found is like, and here's no surprise, we're all busy. We're busier than ever in our personal lives and our professional lives, and we don't have time. And so one of the things that we really focus on is this notion of offloading work from you as the individual to it could be a family member, a spouse, it could be your wealth advisor, it could be your insurance agent. So let everyone have do their piece of the work, right? And not just email you a document when you need something. And then part of it is enabling automation of these things through integrations and through AI. And so we're really focused on all the little things, right? It's how do you like right within Presidio, we give you like, tips of what you should be adding, what people, what places, what things should you add. We give you short videos of how do you add someone to your vault? How do you share? How do you scan a document? But then it's also, I think we offer world-class customer support. We have an incredible mobile application that's at your fingertips all along the way. And so it's this, we look at every aspect of these as areas we have to excel because it's a hard problem, right? And we want to be that solution to help people in an easy way, in a way that like I don't know, maybe me, if there's 100 people in the room that would raise their hand saying, hey, here's the digital vault you have this week and you can go add your life to it. I'm the guy who'd raise his hand and go, like, that's exciting. Most people are like, listen, I don't want to give up binge watching, White Lotus or Yellowstone, right? And so we want you to understand first and foremost, A, the time to get started is now. And B, if you just invest 5, 10, 15 minutes every couple of weeks, you and your family are better off with every little bit that you do.
So one of the elements, of course, as we mentioned earlier, is that the client isn't the one creating these documents.
Mhm.
It's the service provider. It's the mortgage broker, the banker, the accountant, the attorney, the financial advisor, the insurance agent. They're the ones that are creating the docs, sending them to the client, often on DocuSign, for the client to sign them. And then the client gets an electronic copy that is signed by all parties, which they have to store, like you said, Lord knows where, on their hard drive or printing it out for storing it in their file cabinet. Um, can you make that easier? Does Presidio make life easier for all the documents I'm dealing with from DocuSign?
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it is we all have these advisors in our world, whether it's financial, tax, legal, etc. And part of it, you can invite them into your vault for free. And you can permission them to see and do certain things. And you have full visibility and control at every moment of time. And you know exactly what's going on. So if Rick, you're my financial advisor, I can say you can add stuff, you can't edit and delete. You can only see this will and that power of attorney and this financial statement. Uh, and then I can go back at any time from anywhere and see exactly what you've done and when, even to the point I get a real-time notification that would say, Rick accessed your vault from Washington, United States. And so we want you to be in control and knowing. But now you talk about things like DocuSign. That's where we can, really start, getting the 1 + 1 = 3. So, we announced a partnership that went live with DocuSign a couple of weeks ago. So, right, when you sign a document, whether it's your will, it's the taxes, it's your settlement statement for closing on a property, you sign it, right? And odds are, let's face it, DocuSign is the global leader in e-signature. Most of what we sign, if it's important, is signed via DocuSign. And the problem, though, is when you sign it, you're going to need that maybe 6 weeks, maybe 6 months or 6 years down the road. So you may need your settlement statement for your taxes next year. Someone else may need your life insurance policy, 20 years down the road. And then you need to be able to share it. And so the challenge is once you sign the document, DocuSign, what do you do with it? And now with Presidio, you can literally from your couch pull anything you signed directly from DocuSign securely into Presidio. We help you keep it safe, make sure it's at your fingertips. You can securely get it to others, whether it's today or down the road. And we even badge it so you know it's got the DocuSign logo. This was brought over right from DocuSign. And guess what? The best part, you didn't have to do anything.
We're getting a lot of questions from folks. You can join the party. Go to the Q&A box here on Zoom, type in your question. I'll be taking a look at those as we go and peppering them over to Glenn. Many folks, when they registered for this event, Glenn, asked questions when they signed up that they wanted you to answer. And one of them has to do with fraud and identity theft.
Yeah.
This is all related to document management, isn't it? That people are stealing our data and
Hmm.
using it to rip us off or impersonate us or what have
Right.
you. Can Presidio help with any of that?
Yeah, and what I would say when I answer that is acknowledgement. First, let's all acknowledge there's risk everywhere, no matter what you do. If you put all your passwords on a yellow legal pad and put it in your safe, there's risk with that, right? Fire, flood, theft. What if you're not here to provide answers? Everything was discoverable when it was physical. Now it's digital, which means it's at risk, right? And so you can avoid, the notes on your phone, not a secure way of storing passwords, right? People do it all the time. The yellow legal pad, the post-it under the keyboard. We allow you to keep it safe in one place. And we talk about it, it's also the sharing is something I always come back to because how many times does somebody need something important and personal from you? And what do? We text or email it. And then what do they do with it? If you're just putting in an email or text, it could be on their phone. So we help you bring it all together, keep it safe, be in control, know who's got what, make sure everything gets transitioned down the road. And even little things like, in our family, right, we have literally a family word, right? Grandparent scam is a big one, right? Hi, Grandma, it's Johnny. I'm in jail or I got in an accident. I need $5,000 cash. And with AI and deepfake, you don't know if it's Johnny or not. So what we did, I literally wrote on a piece of paper, family word is, and let's just say it's vault, which it's not. And then I shared it with everyone in our family. So if someone calls, say, what's the family word? And that's the first question. But ultimately, when I look at Presidio, it's not just about convenience, but it's a matter of fraud prevention. People should think of Presidio, in my opinion, as a shield, not just a file system. And also when you talk about fraud, I think it's important to understand that like this is designed so when you're not here, everything isn't lost, right? Back to the physical world, everything's discoverable. When it's digital, it's invisible. And we want to make sure that it's protected, it's kept safe, and it's eventually transitioned when you're not here. And you're not here could be Alzheimer's or dementia, not just, a car accident, for example.
Talk about the protocols that you have in place at Presidio to protect the site itself. As you said, people are getting hacked, on a constant basis. So, what protections does Presidio have in place to ensure that content people put into the Presidio vault is not likely to get hacked?
Yeah, that's a great question. And something before I even formed the company, I spent a lot of time researching. And I'll tell you, from day one, we've built a culture of security around every single thing we do. And that starts with our team. So Andrew, who's our CTO, literally worked at the UK equivalent of the National Security Agency, and his job there was to protect country assets, which literally included nuclear launch codes. Like that's the level of folks. Vanessa, who's on our board of directors and has been involved since before the company was formed, she was the chief information security officer at DocuSign from startup to public company. We have one of the leading experts on privacy from PayPal as an investor, the CEO of one of the largest cybersecurity consulting firms. We are proud to have Ron and Cindy Gula as investors. They founded Tenable and took it public, a public cybersecurity firm. So it starts with people, right? And then it goes into technology. So we have, we say is a zero trust architecture with strict access controls. We've built in privacy by design that literally exceeds industry standards. We have multi-factor authentication. We have 4 levels of encryption, crazy amounts of tools. And here's a sneak peek, we actually just signed a partnership with Clear, right? Everyone thinks of them as the airport identification and verification.
Right.
But part of what we do is we're sharing information. And so we want to not just make sure we're verifying Rick, someone who says they're Rick knows Rick's credentials. We're verifying it's Rick. And that's where Clear comes in. So we are doing a ton, making a ton of investments. a lot of external reviews, external penetration tests, including from our partners like ARP, security reviews, SOC 2, and also underlying everything, we want people to understand your data is never monetized, it's never sold or used for commercial purposes, right? And so, we take this very seriously. We have from day one background checks. I mean, there's an immense amount that we do every single day and have since before this company was even formed because we know we're a honeypot and we're a target.
I'm getting the same question repeatedly from people who are joining us today, and it's not a surprise. It's probably the most common question you get. You're not the only company that provides this kind of service in the marketplace of a digital vault. So the question that James and Mitchell and Jason and Christina are all asking is, how does Presidio differ from other digital vaults that are in the marketplace?
Yeah, I've seen several of them, eMoney and Right Capital and all these. First of all, if you ask me, all those solutions make it worse for me as a client because every advisor I have is going to say I have to go to their site, I have to manage my credentials, I have to change my password. It's another place I have to go. And by the way, on that site is only for what's between me and that particular company. What we're doing is a big lift. It's trying to change the equation, saying, no, 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 it's not about my stuff with company X or Y. It's about me and things should be coming to me. So when we look at what we're trying to do different, and I believe we are, first and foremost, as we just talked about, it starts with a focus on enterprise grade security, privacy, compliance. We have a team with extensive experience helping large global companies manage information. We have trusted partnerships with known brands like ARP, DocuSign, and I just highlighted Clear. We do things with sharing that nobody else in the world can or will be able to do because we've got international patent applications filed, right? Cloud storage is great. Vaults are great. What do? They help you store and sometimes keep safe and sync across devices, but they don't really help you at sharing today or down the road. Like if I asked you, what did you share with me? Did I look at it? What else do I have access to? Like everyone throws their hands up. Like I have no idea. With Presidio, down to the moment Rick accessed my vault. Um, and it's a blend of representing your entire world in a digital way, not just your documents, not just your passwords, but bringing it all together. And then I really believe in I really believe we have an incredible focus on customer service. Like we will do everything we can to help you get started, to answer your questions, to be there when you need our help. And I think like that's lost in so many things with solutions. It's like try and go find the phone number to call someone and talk to somebody. Like that's something that, again, we talk about security is core part of what we do in our DNA. Customer service is absolutely there too. And so we're trying to allow you to bring it all together from your family's perspective, keep it safe, share it securely, eventually transition it, and put you in the center of the world, not you have to go to everybody.
And in fact, that point you just made are the next couple of questions that have come up here in the conversation from Michael and from Robert. Um, Talk about this from the advisor's perspective. If the premise of this conversation is how advisors can offer a new value add to their clients. So how exactly does an advisor use Presidio as a new client tool?
Well, one of the things that nobody in our space does is we're really focused on a B2B to C. So, like for example, our partnership with ARP, ARP is representing as a member add-on the AARP Digital Vault, right? So we're not necessarily going and focused directly on selling to the consumer. We're going through companies like an ARP, et cetera, where they can offer it to their clients. So we built it from day one to be focused on being kind of a tool that a financial advisor can take to their clients. It could be co-branded or not. It could be branded Presidio. It could be branded as your company. And that's our entire go-to-market strategy is focused around that. So it's not like where we built a consumer offering and we're now trying to force feed it. but it allows you to provide unique value to your client. And that's what we're seeing with law firms, financial advisory firms, insurance companies that offer it to their clients. It's a way to do something they haven't done before, differentiates them in the marketplace, and we were built from day one to be able to do that.
So the firm would establish the relationship with Presidio
Correct.
and give their clients a free vault, basically. The firm is paying for this on the back end in operations, and it's a free service to the client. And then the firm would either brand it as their own, it's, the XYZ
Yeah.
advisory firm's vault, or they could co-brand it with Presidio or just
Mhm.
let it use the Presidio name, whatever the firm wants to do.
Right.
Um, does the firm have to eat that expense? Can the firm instead pass the cost on to the client?
100%. In fact, we have a basically what we call our limited or a an entry level package that's much lower cost for either the client or the firm. And then we have an upgrade to a full. And the way we've set it up is if you want to subsidize any or all of that for either the entry level or the full unlimited version, that's the decision of the firm, right? But we can accommodate if you say we would like to pay for 100% for our clients or 100% of the entry plan, and if they want to upgrade, it's on them, or you can subsidize any piece of it. So, we've built that into our model from day one, so we have complete flexibility.
And I assume that the firm or the advisors can choose which of their clients they're going to offer this to or which of their clients they're going to subsidize.
Correct.
So they could do different for different clients.
Right.
So talk about those different price points.
Yeah, so our entry level is generally $25-$30 a year. And our full version is $150 a year if you pay annually. I think it's $16 a month if you pay per month. So, it really is a low risk, especially when you talk about $25. What's that? Maybe now two Starbucks, a month. But that's actually, but two Starbucks for the year is really almost in a sense what
So
our
yeah, it's not expensive at all, and I guess that's simply because of the economies of scale in a digital environment that
That's
um,
exactly right. Right. And when we look at it from the advisors, right, the way we think about it is, right, I mean, we've seen the figures, Rick. How much is changing hands over the next, decade or two? It's an immense amount. But what
Well,
I
yeah,
always,
the wealth transfer. Advisors talk about this all the time because
right.
everyone's excited. The boomers are going to be dying, and the uh, children and the grandchildren are going to be inheriting trillions, tens of trillions of dollars over the next few decades. Advisors are generally pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and every time I see a figure, and we see them all the time, right? I always say, let's put an asterisk on the end of that because that's if the loved one knew something like, right, the 401k account, right, which we just saw was all over the news recently, 29% are estimated to be lost and inactive, right? $1.7 trillion. That's just 401k accounts. 70 billion in unclaimed assets at the state, right? That they're held today and growing. This is a real problem. And so, yeah, it may be, 39, $60 trillion. That's if it can be found or if it can be documented, right? And that's the real challenge. And then the flip side of that is when you think about who's inheriting, right? You've got to go where the client is, right? They're all about apps and notifications and instant, and that's their expectation. And so if the advisor can show not only help the parent, for example, get organized, pull this together, make sure it's discoverable, make sure everything is safe, but then also show the children value, then the children aren't going to go, well, I'm going to take it from here and go over there, right? And
You know, that's a really, really important point because all the surveys are showing us that like 80+% of children say they're going to fire their parent's advisor
right.
when the parent dies. And it's got everybody kind of scared, because
Mhm.
they're managing all this money for all these families and they're fearful that all that's going to go away during the transition due to death. And you're absolutely right because the advisors are currently operating in an analog environment. It's all on paper, it's all on internal systems,
Yeah,
et cetera. So when the children are getting engaged, they're going to be like, "This is so old school. Why do I want to deal with this?"
100%. Yeah.
But if the if their mom and dad have everything in a digital vault, and the advisor can say to the children as the new heirs, hey, here it is, ready all there for you. Wow, what a great testament for, gee, maybe this person's state of the art and convenient and on top of this, and you might
Yeah.
have a better shot at keeping the assets.
Right. And listen, I just came off over a decade at DocuSign, right? I was a partner and then sold my company, was part of the company, and then I was a formal advisor for 2 years after I left. And it's the same thing. I mean, let's go back. And how crazy is it now to say, hey, Rick, I need you to sign something. I'm going to fax it to you. Like people be like, "What? Fax?" No, like send it to me on this thing, and I'll sign it. I'll turn it around. Right? It's the same type of I think what we're seeing, we saw in the e-signature market, and I think we're now seeing that kind of in the document and the storage and this broader digital vault. Because if someone was a client today, and the child like was told, "Hey, what's your fax number?" I think the child would be like, excuse me, right? And
Right.
so that's that expectation. And if you're not meeting your client where they are, they won't be your client.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. And the statistic you just cited kind of shocks me that nearly a third of all the 401k money is um, lost. And I guess it kind of makes sense because we know, and this is part of the research I did on a prior book, that the Department of Labor says that by the time you're 35, you've had 7 jobs.
Yeah, yeah,
It used to be womb to tomb employment. When my parents were growing up, they worked in one company their whole careers, got a gold watch and a pension after 40 years of service. But today
right,
we're jumping around about every 2.5 years, people are changing employers, which means that by the time you're in your 60s, you might have had 15 or 20 different employers,
right,
15 or 20 different 401k plans,
right,
all of which are dormant and may be dormant for decades. So, sure, those accounts are probably long forgotten. But if at the
yeah.
time of each one was opened, the account was placed into the digital vault, it'll never get forgotten. It'll never get lost.
Yeah, I ask people all the time, and I know it's a really hard question to think about, but like, what happens if you're not here tomorrow unexpectedly? Like, does your family know you have a will or where the original copy is, right? Do they know if you have a safe deposit box or a storage unit? Do they know Rick is your wealth advisor and Michelle is your insurance agent, right? If you're not here to answer that, and be real with yourself, like think of the position you're putting your family in, right? And it's like I tell people all the time, like I love and adore my family, and I have responsibility as the husband and as the parent to take care of them, protect them, and help nurture them. And part of that is being responsible from this perspective because the reason I started this is that I was going through my diligence of like, am I going to create a company here? Is there a real need? Two of my best friends lost their dads, two of them. And both of them were like, dear God, like, if you're not sure you should do it, you need to do that. This is a real issue. The time and energy and frustration that happens because, Rick, we all believe, right? I get the concept of a digital vault. I like it. Oh my God, I need it. And I'm going to get started next week, next month, next year, right?
Right.
And I have the story. I have very, very good friends that I was just with last week here in Florida, and they're from California. And I'm going to tell you where they lived, and you'll know where this is going. Pacific Palisades.
Oh, my.
And they're really good friends of mine. And they said, Glenn, we love what you're doing. We're going to get started. And they were coming back in February. And they're like, we're going to sit down with you and get us trained. We've had a busy winter, blah, blah, blah. Well, lo and behold, I was with them in January. 3 days later, they went home. They woke up, was any other day, and they went to bed homeless. Everything was gone, right?
Goodness.
And that's not a wildfire in California. People think they're just California. They've been all over the country, including Florida. The flooding, Texas, North Carolina, New York, all these things happen around us, and we need to be prepared. And what ultimately we see is in the physical world, you could recover from someone being unorganized or cluttered. You can't in the digital world because it's invisible and it gets lost.
So I guess that's the real way to drive this home for the client is when you're onboarding a brand new client and you're sharing with them the paperwork that's going to be involved, the documents that are going to be created, And then you're able to say, and we're going to create a system that allows for the easy automatic management of all of that paperwork so
Yeah,
that you and your family don't have to worry about the hassle of collecting it or curating it and maintaining it or wondering where any of it is. It'll all be there for you automatically in a secure fashion. That
right.
to me strikes me as a very client centric approach
Yeah,
that I think will pay dividends at creating stickiness for that
yeah.
client relationship. We've got a whole bunch of questions that are all related to the practical application of this, Glenn. So I want to go through these. Michael asks, how, um, from a business perspective, can I upload documents to my client's vault? And can I do this with or without their permission?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. Now you have to get their permission, right? Because the way we look at the vault, they're the owner of it. And all they do is just add you and permission it. And by the way, we can do that for companies through APIs, right? So that can be automated. Um, they will decide if you can add or edit or delete. They'll decide what you can view. You can add stuff on their behalf. I just redid all my estate planning documents. Used to live in Illinois, now in Florida, had to redo everything. And instead of having my estate attorney, who by the way lives in Dallas, email me all my documents, which by the way has sensitive information in it, he just went into my vault because I said, "Hey, Nick, you can add." And so that's a way you can do it. You also, let's face it, right? DocuSign is the global leader in e-signature. We're a partner in their app center. So if you use DocuSign to have your client sign, you literally, as your company, can drag and drop Presidio into your DocuSign workflow. So anything signed by a client is automatically added into their Presidio vault. You don't have to do anything. The company doesn't have to do anything. The client doesn't have to do anything. So we are a growing company and we're continuing to make strides. We're doing some really interesting things with AI, but it's all around this ease of use, security, peace of mind. And we want to enable because the last thing any of us need is more work.
Judy and Reno are both asking the same question. Is there a limit to the number of documents, or is there a limit to the stored space in the digital vault?
So we do have limits in our limited package. That is the entry, of course, which makes sense, right? But we think like, for example, with the ARP members, many of them may not have as much or they're retired. And so we have this kind of entry level package. But once you start really using the power of Presidio, and I'll tell you, I am a power user, as you'd expect, hundreds and thousands of items in my vault, and I'm not anywhere near like, so we do have some caps in there, but they're really impractical. It's just more someone who's going to upload every video ever recorded into a Presidio digital vault. So we do have some limitations on the back end, but they're not practical. I mean, you're not going to hit them as and with our unlimited plan.
And elaborate on that. Videos? I mean, we've been talking about documents.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, right? So much of what I think we've lost that we used to have as a society is to tell the story and provide context. And I'll give you two different examples. So my dad had a health scare about 2 years ago, and my dad's mother, my grandmother, died on the birthing table. Like, so he comes into this world, she leaves this world. And my dad has a health scare. He's in the hospital and he says, "Glenn, do you know what the most important physical thing I have?" And I don't know if you've ever like had a parent ask you. I was like clueless. I was like, I'm trying to rifle through my mind. He goes, "It's a hope chest." And I was like, "Okay, hope chest. What's a hope chest?" Right? And so he goes, "That piece of furniture in the kitchen under the window." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So help me explain it." Well, my dad added that as a thing, right? What do you have of value, financial and sentimental? He added it. And then he took pictures of
What,
it.
what is what is it he added? He just the text of this hope chest, and then he took pictures of it and uploaded the pictures.
And videos. I have videos now. Imagine the value of this. I have videos of my dad sitting next to this hope chest, opening it and telling the story about it. I have a video of my dad, his words, his emotions, right? His facial expressions, walking us through. This is my mom's wedding ring. This is my mom's picture in the yearbook. And now think about this. If my sister and brother and I hadn't known about that hope chest, it's an 80, 90-year-old piece of furniture. It's kind of a little run down. And what would have happened? It would have gotten the yellow sticker at the garage sale for $5. And if you came along and offered me one, I'm like, there you go, Rick, it's yours. Or it would have been tossed in the trash. Now it's a family heirloom because we know the story about it, right? And we have that context. And the other example with videos I'll give that I credit my wife with is, a will is the instrument that says who gets what. But what doesn't it do? Why? And so in our vault for my wife and I have a watch that means a lot to me. My wife got it to me after we closed selling the last company to DocuSign, and it means the world to me. And there's a big story around it. And so not only have I got a picture of the watch, pictures of it, I've got my warranty card, I've got my receipt, but I also have two videos recorded. One that tells the story about why that watch is important to me, and the second is for my son who will inherit it one day, doesn't see it today, doesn't know about it, but I have a video specifically telling my son why this watch is going to him and what I want him to think when he wears it.
So you just copy the file from your phone directly into the app.
Yeah, I literally, all I did is I went into Presidio, I went to things, right? What do you have of value? I clicked add, took a picture of the watch, and then I recorded videos right through Presidio telling the story about it. And so,
Wow.
it's yes, it's storing, yes, it's keeping safe, yes, it's sharing, but it's also providing context. And by the way, providing context could be Rick's been my financial advisor for 25 years, and here's why. And I can easily record a video of it telling, so why Rick has been such an instrumental part of like my wealth creation over the last 25 years.
Joseph is asking, says, I presume you can use the vault to upload and save medical records?
So I'll give you a perfect example. I have one of my daughters diagnosed at the age of 19 with rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh
Okay.
my.
She has to take some weekly medications. And a couple of weeks ago, I was in Chicago. My wife called me in tears. My daughter was having a medical issue and she needed to get to the ER. My son picked her up and took her because he lived 5 minutes away, got her to the ER, right? We know if something's going on, we're not necessarily always thinking in the best state of mind. I literally from Chicago in a car went on my phone and I shared because my daughter added her medical prescriptions. What is she taking? And I literally shared them with my son. So when he walked into the ER, he said, "Here's what she's taking." So they knew that right off the bat. So the answer is absolutely. And that's one of the things. Again, you're on a trip, prescriptions, medications. You go to a doctor's office and they want to know all this stuff. I have all that in my vault.
Let's see. Robert is asking, do you have or have published a policy manual? And is it available to folks he's thinking about his compliance department?
Yeah,
Um,
so we are very accustomed to working with compliance departments. We've worked with some of the largest title companies and gone through their evaluations, DocuSign security review and assessment, ARP brought in third party. So we have SOC 2 Type 2. Obviously, we go through an NDA to start providing this information, but we do have it. And again, remember from day one, I built this knowing our solution was B2B2C. And that's why we have folks like Vanessa on our board of directors who literally did these things at DocuSign. And I think we all would say that's a pretty trusted company. And we've got great people behind us that are helping us on that journey.
William is asking you to clarify on the fee that you'd mentioned earlier. So if you could run through that again for us.
So we have a entry level package, which we don't sell on our website today. We sell that through partners. And you can contact us and we'll connect you on that. And that's roughly $25-$30 a year, depending on, a couple how we configure it. And then we have on our website today, you can sign up for Presidio and you'll have a QR code at the end, but it's $150 a year or $16 a month. And for people listening here, if you scan the QR code that you show at the end, they can sign up for half off the first year.
So let me get this straight. Through an enterprise package, that the
Mhm.
firm does this on behalf, a bulk purchase on behalf of a lot of clients,
Yeah,
as little as 25 bucks a year per client. The website doesn't show that. The website
yeah,
shows 1250 a month. Um, and that's another value out of the advisor to say to the client, look,
yeah,
we can provide this to you for 25 bucks a year. If you go to the Presidio website, you're going to spend 150 bucks a year.
yeah.
So another way that you can show value out to the client. So I think that's That's pretty terrific.
Yeah, and we don't sell this entry level package. It's really about the businesses and giving them a low cost, low risk way of providing this to their clients. And then if they're using it, again, the company can decide to pay for the upgrade or subsidize a piece of it. But it's all based on people actually engaging and using the product.
Well, I've got to just share my own little story with you. My mother-in-law um, recently divorced, recently widowed. Jean's dad passed about 2 years ago, and so mom decided that she would sell her home
Mhm.
and buy a new one closer to one of her daughters, Jean's sister, down in Florida. And so we went through the process with her of helping her sell her old
Mhm.
property, finding the new home to buy, and dealing with all the associated transactions, everything from the sales process on the old property, dealing with that real estate agent, having to have that home inspected, having to go through all that process,
Yeah.
and then going to the new property and going through all the process associated with that, with the real estate agent, the title settlement, the home inspection, on and on and on. The amount of paperwork involved, I think we can all agree that real estate transactions comprise the most paperwork of any
Yeah.
potential set of transactions. And we decided really early on in this process, because we're dealing not just with her mom, who's 1,000 miles away, because
Yeah.
we're in Virginia, mom's in Florida, her Jean's two sisters and brother. There's four kids, all of them very close, all of them heavily engaged. Not everybody physically near mom.
Mhm.
Two of them are, two of them are not. But everybody wanting to be involved and pay attention, dealing with professional advisors, overseeing the activity, interfacing with all of this, with a lot of paperwork, a lot of documentation, et cetera, et cetera. We decided from the get-go we would do the whole thing inside Presidio. So we created a Presidio account for mom.
Mhm.
Jean and I were the primary users of the account. The three siblings all had access rights into the account, so
Yeah.
everybody could see everything in real
Right.
time. And what we discovered, not only was it the way you describe, simple, convenient, easy for the management of documents, one of the best parts of this, Glenn, which I don't hear you talking very much about,
Mhm.
is that it eliminated a whole array of emails and texts and phone calls, because Jean didn't have to make three phone calls to each of her
Yeah.
three siblings. We didn't have to do group texts and emails and wait for replies, because
Right.
everybody knew in real time everything that was happening, because they all had access to the vault. And
Yeah.
it was just, it made life so much easier going through this process. And I think that
Yeah.
was one of the biggest benefits of it. And now, once that's all done, Jean has uploaded, now that mom has moved in, the property is settled, and so on. Jean has uploaded the utilities and the
Mhm.
property taxes and the related banking. All of everything is there, so that anyone in the family can easily help out mom when she ever has any kind of a question about the
Right.
utility bill of some kind or what have you. And it's just such a convenience factor. It's been really terrific.
Well, here, most people don't know this. Actually, the National Association of Realtors is an investor in Presidio through their investment arm, Second Century Ventures, because we've seen that, right? We understand that such a big component of that is, and let's not forget, the settlement statement on that sale is going to be needed for taxes next year and may need to go to a accountant who may be in some other state or city, and that settlement statement has a lot of personal information. And when you sell down the road, you're going to need the homeowners association docs, right? And so all this stuff isn't just done at that transaction, as you talk about. It's going to be needed by many different people down the road. And that's really the value proposition of what we're trying to help people with. And I think that actually exemplifies this. So many times Presidio people will think it's about death and dying and emergency and tragedy. And we do help with that. It's also about living in peace of mind. I mean, even for me, little things. I mean, we just had this over the weekend. I had to change my Disney Plus family account. So it was a family account. And of course, what's happening is my kids are texting me at like 12:31 in the morning saying, "Hey, did someone change the password?" Right? We don't have that problem anymore because I woke up this past Saturday and I saw like my daughter access the vault at like 1:30 in the morning, and I was able to go and see, yep, she looked at the Disney Plus account.
Michael is asking, how does this work with a husband and wife? Do they have one account they share, or they're two separate vaults?
Fantastic question. So we have a couple of things. So you can invite anyone to your vault, as we talked about. You can identify a co-owner. So that person will have full access to see and do everything in your vault. Like if I add a will, I don't need to share it with my wife, who's the co-owner. She can add anything, she can delete anything for free. You can invite a co-owner to your account. You also can add what we call the key holder. The key holder is who do you want to have access to everything upon your eventual passing. And we've got this long, detailed process with, we worked on with the state attorneys, corporate attorneys. And so what happens is if the vault owner passes, the vault can get transferred to the co-owner. Again, free account, but has a separate account. And then if both of them aren't there or there is no co-owner, we actually have a vault transfer process, uses DocuSign, right? Signed affidavit, death certificate. Soon we'll actually be incorporating Clear into that so we can verify the person, not just their credentials. And so you can identify, again, for free, you bring a key holder in and you may share 2 or 3 or 10 items with them today, but you'll know down the road when you're not here, we, Presidio as a company, after we verify that person's not there, we will then release the vault in its entirety to the key holder. So, and the key is everybody you invite to your vault is free. No one has to pay. It's not based on how much you share. They're always free.
Yeah, that's what we discovered. Jean and I established the account, and then we invited in her siblings,
Yep.
and Presidio just sent them an automatic email saying you've been invited, and they click yes, and then they have the access we gave them into the account. And as you said, the access can be restricted, where they can only look at stuff,
Yep.
or they can upload stuff, or they can edit or delete stuff, and so you just do whatever makes sense. And it was very simple and intuitive. In fact, that's a question that Carrie's asking. Is there a template, or how do people organize the documents that they're creating? How does that work?
Yeah, so we start with ideas, generic ideas. What documents should you add? Who should you add as people? And so we have that as what we call our ideas. We also have 5 onboarding questions when you sign up, and you can skip them if you'd like, but are you married or do you have a partner? Any dependents? Where do you reside? How do you get around? And do you have any pets? And then we start building out ideas of what you should add based on how you answer those questions. And I can tell you one of the most exciting things that we're working on right now is this notion of like topics. I'm interested in legacy. I travel. And what we're working on, again, now this part is not there yet, but it's being actively worked on, is to take what we're already doing and make it even better. So, you could say, for example, my wife's name is Chantel. So when I sign on and I say I'm married and my wife's name is Chantel, we'll say, okay, add Glenn's will here, add Chantel's will here, add Glenn's power of attorney here, Chantel's power of attorney. Now, again, just to be clear, we're continuing to evolve and learn and listen and really make this, the best tool it can be. But part of our obligation is to guide and help people with that. And so we have some great things today, and I cannot tell you how excited I am about what's coming later this year.
Well, that's really it's important. That's all part of the business development, isn't it? Is constantly growing and
Yeah.
expanding based on consumer demand,
Hmm.
feedback you're getting from everybody, and so on.
Yeah.
We've only got a couple of minutes left. I'd like to invite you to give some closing comments here, some final thoughts, and one thing I want you to hit on is that we've had a couple of folks asking about their ability uh, to get a demo.
Mhm.
Um, is that something that you can arrange?
Absolutely. So a couple things. One is if you go to Google and just type in Presidio, now PRI, not PRE. Everyone knows the PRE. We say it's privacy with security, which is Presidio. Um, but if you Google that, you'll see YouTube videos of like a demo. you can reach out to us and give us a call, and we'll be happy to schedule a live demo with you, answer your questions. So we can definitely do that. You also can follow us on all these social channels. We do everything from 2-minute tips, how do you drag and drop, and things that in under 2 minutes you can learn something how to do it in Presidio. We also have what we call our carousels, like 5 things you should add for your parents, or if you're traveling, 6 things you should add to your vault. So following us on social is a great idea because every week we're trying to give you new ideas of what you can do. But bottom line is reach out to us. We can answer questions, we can schedule demos. And again, I take great pride. Our head of support, Mark, worked for me at my last company, then worked at DocuSign. I recruited him to create support here. It's not just like, hey, like, yeah, it's something like we talk about. Like, I am so incredibly proud of the support we provide our customers, and it's the number one thing for everybody, not just our customer support team. Everybody in our company is focused on how do we take care of our customers.
On screen, we've got a QR code. Talk about that.
Yeah, so again, we talk about so the unlimited plan, you can sign up for Presidio online. It's $150 a year or $16 a month. If you go to that QR code and enter TAYF50, right? Truth about your future, 50% off. The first year is $75 instead of 150, or it's $8 a month instead of 16.
Well, this has been terrific conversation, Glenn. There is an important need for advisors to figure out how to deliver better value to clients. And I think since we're living in the digital age and advisors are creating digital documents left and right for clients, that this is an important opportunity for advisory firms to deliver a new service to clients that I think clients don't even know that they want or need. But once exposed to it, it'll be kind of like the iPhone. How did I ever live without it?
Yeah.
I think that you're onto something here. I'm glad to have you here talking about it, and I know you're going to get a lot of feedback from this. And I encourage you to go to presidio.com to learn more about this. Glenn and his team would be happy to chat with you. So, Glenn, thank you so much for being with us today. I want to show you about 2 webinars we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have this week uh, uh, on Wednesday. Um, Tomorrow, my goodness gracious, it's already Tuesday. Um, how to secure truly diversified crypto exposure. There's a whole lot of focus, obviously, with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high, but there's a lot more to crypto than just Bitcoin. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And then next week, I'm going to share with you the big news you've probably seen. I've been kind of blowing up the internet with my new white paper, The Death of the 60/40 Glide Path, why that is outdated and obsolete, and why you now need to consider an allocation into crypto of a minimum of 10% for conservative clients, all the way up to 40% for aggressive clients. I'm going to share that with you next Tuesday, the 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. And hope you'll join us for those. So, Glenn Chimkus, CEO, founder of Presidio. Pleasure to be with you as always, Glenn. Thanks so much for joining us today, and invite all of you to check out presidio.com and learn more how you can deliver an incredibly easy but powerful new client service. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.